Roll call, I will ask Carrie Swanson to do the roll call.
Carrie Wiskovich.
I'm
There's
sorry,
Kiera Swanson in the
Kiera
back. That's okay.
Wiskovich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see here. Kent Robbins,
Here.
Donna,
Yes.
Barbara Johnson,
Here.
Tom Vonoff.
Here.
And then we have Jay Picca and Jay Ray Huber and Lee Watson are all absent with notice.
All right. And I would introduce the Scott County staff that are here. We have Brad Davis, the planning manager, Greg Wagner, the principal planner, Marty Schmitz, the zoning administrator, Nathan Hall, an associate planner, Carrie Wiskovich, the admin assistant. Welcome to the group, Carrie. And Kira Swanson is our video tech who's doing the filming. And we have Tom Wolf here, who is our county commissioner. I would call for approval of the minutes of the July 11th Board of Adjustment meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes?
Madam Chair, I'll move approval. Second.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Commissioner, I'm going to be slow on all this stuff, Robbins, and a second by Tom Vonhoff. This is my first meeting, guys, so be kind.
I'm with you.
Okay. We have one variance or one thing to look at tonight. It is variance number PL 2022-0053. It's a variance for property owners Diane and Gregory Colbeck from the required setback to the road right-of-way, and a variance from the required setback to the ordinary high water level to replace a single-family home. Nathan Hall is the staff planner that will be presenting the request.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The subject property is located within Helena Township along the northern edge of Cedar Lake. The property is approximately 10,000 square foot parcel. It has an existing home that is centered on the property. The home has a detached garage, and I will make a note for the commissioners that the parcel lines that you see here on the GIS map are not accurate, but we do have a survey of the existing property here. And the detached garage is only 0.4 feet from the road right-of-way. The side setback is also less than half a foot. Again, this is for the existing property, not the proposed property. And the existing home is 34.5 feet from the road right-of-way, and 40.4 feet is where the deck is from the ordinary high water level. The applicant, Mr. Clem, has requested a variance to increase the maximum lot, has already requested a variance to increase the maximum lot coverage from 39.6% from the required maximum of 25% to replace a single-family home in the Shoreland District. That variance was approved by the Board of Adjustment in March. It was the intent of the applicant to meet all of the setbacks. However, when the final design was submitted, it was found that there had been a miscalculation regarding a setback to the ordinary high water level, and the new home would encroach into the setback from the ordinary high water level. So Mr. Clem has submitted a new variance application to request that those required setbacks be reduced. While the required setbacks to the side property lines would be met, the minimum setback to the ordinary high water level would normally be 75 feet. However, the average of the adjacent properties can be used as an alternative minimum, and which would bring them to 42.6 feet from the ordinary high water level. And the applicant is proposing two options. One would be that the setback to the road right-of-way be reduced to 20 feet, from 25 feet to 20 feet, and that the setback to the ordinary high water level be reduced to 37.3 feet. And the applicant, that is what the applicant prefers and what they're proposing. They also proposed, as you saw in the staff report, an alternative which would be 15 feet from the right-of-way and 42.3 feet from the ordinary high water level. Now, this area of Cedar Lake, it was developed back in the 1950s, 1960s, before the setback standards were adopted. So there have been a number of variances on Cedar Lake for reduction in structure setbacks. The home immediately to the west of the subject property received a variance in 1987 to build a home 8 feet from the road right-of-way and 60 feet from the ordinary high water level. The applicant's surveyor here has found that the home was built at 15 feet from the right-of-way, and that it was the deck on the back of the home is at 58 feet from the ordinary high water level. And of course, the home immediately adjacent that's shown right here is only 27.2 feet from the ordinary high water level. It was constructed before the zoning ordinance was in effect. When reviewing this request, staff notes that this is a small legal non-conforming parcel, and its small size does pose challenges for building a modern home in such a way that all the setbacks would be met. The previous home on the subject property did not meet the required setback to the ordinary high water level, and a detached garage did not meet setbacks to the road right-of-way or side setbacks for that matter. There are other properties in the neighborhood that do not meet the setbacks, and so a variance to the setback requirements would not be out of character for this neighborhood. However, staff believes that it is conceivable that alterations could be made to the proposed house to reduce the amount of variance from the required setbacks. The covered porch and deck area, for example, could be reduced further. The Scott County Highway Department is agreeable to a 5-foot reduction in the setback from the road right-of-way. There is a concern that a smaller setback than that, because the driveway does face the roadway, we want to leave some area there for cars to park in the driveway without overhanging into the road right-of-way. The Minnesota DNR did provide comment, and the DNR area hydrologist stated that given how close the current structure is, the DNR would not want to see it any closer to the shore. Helena Township Board has recommended approval of the request, and staff is supportive of the variance and would recommend approval from the required setback from the ordinary high water level to 40.4 feet, which is the same setback that the existing house is at. And also we would be supportive of a variance from the setback to the road right-of-way down to 20 feet from the 25 feet. If the board would follow staff recommendation, the applicant would still need to modify the house design to reduce the depth of the structure by 3.1 feet, which may be possible by altering the size, orientation, or design of the covered deck.
The applicant's here.
The applicant is,
Are you all right with alterations, some alterations to your property, as the staff says?
Could we have the applicants step up to the mic? Please, can you step up to the podium?
I'm sorry.
Ask them to sign in.
I was hoping that we wouldn't have to make any adjustment to the deck, since that's where we're gonna spend most of the time. We're building this house as a retirement
Would
house.
you start with your name and then just
Oh, I'm
sign
sorry.
in to,
Greg Colbeck,
okay,
and then
go ahead.
They want you to sign.
sign in, okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. So Greg Colbeck, and you know, part of why we're building this house is for a retirement house. We are hoping that we don't have to redo any architectural plans and enjoy the deck that we've constructed right now. The plan or change is for 3 feet. I would rather see the house pushed forward a couple more feet. If we look at the garage where it is right now, it's at a 0 point, which almost grandfathers us in to move forward. In fact, the neighbor's garage was used to split the difference, and they're actually gonna be 15 feet from the road. So we still could utilize that extra 3 feet and move it forward without doing any changes to the deck or the house. And rather than go through, you know, more architectural drawings and plans and the adjustment that we made, I would hope that that would be the last resort that we would do. That plan A or B, which would be to, you know, what Nathan so kindly, you know, described would be one of the options that we would select.
So Madam Chair, let me get this straight. We have a report and Nathan has said certain things. You don't want that to happen, and instead of that, you would want one of the alternatives that would allow you not to be able to make any changes to your house. Do I have
Yes.
that right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Kolbeck? Okay, Nathan, I have a question for you. Does that work for Scott County Planning?
Madam Chair, the recommendation of planning staff is for it to be the 20 from the road right-of-way.
Nathan, I can't hear you very well. Can you, yeah.
Madam Chair, the county staff's recommendation is for it to be the 40.4 feet from the ordinary high water level and 20 feet from the road right-of-way. Certainly, if the board does feel that it is appropriate for it to be closer in either direction, that is something that the board can approve. The highway department, when we visited with them, we looked at the 2 different alternatives of 15 or 20 feet. They felt from the road right-of-way, they felt that 20 feet was certainly acceptable. The board is certainly free to have it be, you know, 17 feet or another number if they feel that that's appropriate. The only concern I think that the highway department may have had is about, again, vehicles parking in the driveway that could potentially encroach into the road right-of-way. But if we're looking at a standard parking lot space, I suppose that's 18 feet in depth. So.
Madam Chair.
Any other questions from the
Madam Chair.
board for Nathan?
No, I'm okay with the county's explanation.
With
That
what
the
part?
county said to move some of the supports and modify the roof area, so I think staff is willing to work with these people if they adhere to what this county is recommending.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I comment? I was out at the site yesterday. I was surprised to see the house was gone. The driveway's still there. I imagine the driveway is coming out? Okay. Sure, sure. I would not support going closer to the road. It's tight there, and that's a pretty busy road there. And I think that 20 feet from the right of way is pretty tight. I think that, but I don't object.
Could I mention one thing? Sorry.
I absolutely know what it is. Thank you for your comment. But actually, yes, I was there. This is the second time I've been out there. I was there the first time when you came through here and looked at the site. And I have a lot of experience with Lakeshore variances and setbacks. I was on Prior Lake Planning Commission for 10 years. And there's 22 miles of lakeshore on Prior and Spring in Prior Lake. And so we dealt with these frequently. And I understand lakeshore averaging very well and very familiar with that concept. And as I look at this, what I'm saying is that the setback, because you're stuck between the roadway right-of-way and the ordinary high water line. And that's your two significant setbacks that you have, because the side setbacks are kind of where the house was. And so the one from the roadway is more significant to me right now when I look at the other homes and where they're located along the water.
So if I can comment.
Sure, it's, Madam Chair.
So in comment to what you said, so one of the other ideas and thoughts that we had is as we shift the house forward that 5 feet to go from 25 to 20 feet, that would gain us probably, 100 to 200 square feet because the pervious, we were running right at that mark.
Right.
But that would gain us more pervious to redo the driveway to make it more efficient so that we could utilize the space without intruding on the road. Because right now, the way it's constructed, there would just be a single driveway coming in. If by gaining that extra 200 square feet, we redo the garage, and quite frankly, if you look at the plan, the double car garage, and then we've got the foyer area, and then a single car garage. The single car garage was for a boat.
Right.
He stored, but I wouldn't put a driveway because of pervious.
Right.
We were gonna try to go for 42 for the variance originally to put a driveway over there, but now that we have to push forward a little bit, we would gain more space to make it where we could back up the car into that area and then pull forward. So it'd make the county a lot safer to get in and out of that area and not infringe on that space for the road.
Right, and that's the concern is not only for your vehicles, but when you have people come to visit you, that they
Right.
can safely
Well,
get
I'm
in.
worried about it as we're almost 60 years old now, and backing up and looking over my shoulder with a road that's 55 mile an hour, that scares the hell out of me.
Right,
So my
That's-
plan would be to have an area where we could back out of the double car, pull over to that area by increased pervious, and then pull forward so we can see both directions without looking over our shoulder,
right. So
which would make it very safe.
So you can use pervious pavers, is that what your solution is?
No, it's just to expand the driveway so that instead of just a single driveway coming into the double car, it would come in, go to the double car and Y to the other one with the extra space that we gained by moving forward 5 feet and make it a lot safer. The original plan was a circle, which was defeated because of pervious.
Right,
Because my biggest fear is either a family member or us or someone visiting backs out on, and I know what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna back out and there's gonna be a car coming. I wanna enter that road going forward, and this would allow us to do that.
okay, well, thank you.
I have a question for Commissioner Von Hoff, because you have all the experience here. Would that work for you? Do you still have concerns?
Yeah, no,
And I
you
would
know,
be real happy with that, if that were the case.
so what are you asking for exactly?
So,
What-
really
what-
what's
what
happening.
in the variance are you asking for?
Yeah, we're asking for the 5 feet forward, which would gain us enough space to put the driveway over to the other one to allow us to back up and then go forward.
5 feet, which way?
Well, we're pushing towards the road, right? So we're intruding from 25 to 20 feet. We're not changing anything more than what they want.
But 20 feet.
Yep, so
And-
you're approving the same thing,
I'm
That he
fine with
asked.
20 feet from the road.
yes.
So,
Well,
so,
we have to have 3 more feet in order to meet and not have.
Oh, yeah, we would need 3 more feet, so
but,
instead of,
but my feeling on the 3 more feet and looking at the averaging and without looking at every residence along that,
Mm-hmm.
is that there might be more room in my mind to get 3 feet closer. Now, your structure has a deck on the front of it.
no,
Proposed structure, no deck at all.
No
This
deck
is
on the
right to the
front.
house corner
Yep.
then. And that's why, so that doesn't include any decking at all.
no.
Not on the front.
Yeah, and really, changing the plan is gonna be quite a bit more work involved, so that's, I mean, to me, the 3 feet to gain the extras, and the driveway going over to the third stall would be, or the third garage would be really helpful for that forward-facing entry into that road.
So, just so I'm clear here, so we're clear on this,
Yeah, go
if I want to clarify this, what you're
Yep.
actually saying is, the right-of-way to the roadway would be reduced to 20 feet, which you're okay with, but that you want 3 additional feet, which would reduce the distance to the lake from 37.3 feet to 34.3 feet.
Is that right, Jim?
No, so
Okay. Sir, if you could come.
Yeah, come up to the podium and state your name and sign in, please.
Or I guess you gotta sign it.
Sure.
Tom, make sure you keep saying that. I'm confused. Keep
Okay.
Summarizing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I'm Jim Clem, I'm the builder.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. So kind of this, I've worked with this architect for years. And he met or kind of talked with Nathan to try and get all the setbacks met. And you know, that's where he starts. The challenge he had is that he went perpendicular to the house, to the lake. And if you look kind of on the, I guess it's the west side of the lake, the lake shore just kind of swoops in a little bit. And that's the only place that we're short. The rest of the spots we have, you know, 45 to 53 feet, so we're well in the parameters.
So it's the west corner of the house, Madam Chair.
No.
The west corner of the house is close to that little inlet that comes in, is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
And that's where the 37.3 feet is that correct? But the majority of the lot is either exceeds the 45 feet. So, and that's the way we do variances, is from the closest point.
Yeah.
So that's what you're explaining to me here.
yeah, that the architect didn't quite get that. He's, you know,
Okay. So the house is designed
yeah,
and been designed this way for this. And there's no deck on the front of the house. This is the structure coming up to the point there. So what you're requesting is a little bit different than what staff has requested. So just so we're clarifying, what staff has recommended is 20 feet from the road right away, which the highway department has recommended, and 37.3 feet from the ordinary high water line, which the DNR has kind of said. But what you're requesting is 20 feet from the roadway right away and 34.3 feet from the ordinary high water line, which would allow you to build the structure that you have designed. Is this correct? Just so we're clear here, so we don't have to come back here again.
so we're asking for the 37 feet, not the 34 feet.
Oh, you can do it in the 37 feet.
Yeah. And one point I wanted to bring up is on that west side, we're also gonna do the accessory building. And that's acceptable to do 10 feet from the water. So when you're coming in at that point, you're gonna see the accessory building 10 feet from the water.
Right.
And the closest point of our house would be 37 feet, so I don't know that it's,
So, but just so we're clear here now, it's because what you're saying is exactly what the staff has recommended. And I'm not sure that, I just want to be clear here. This has to be very clear. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, is it all right?
No, go ahead.
No,
Yeah, so they're
Commissioner Runoff,
recommending-
please, I'm confused.
they're recommending 40 feet, the staff is.
With a redrawing
Of the deck.
of the deck.
Okay,
Madam Chairman, Commissioner Varnoff, if I could.
sure.
So
Help
what
us,
what
Marty.
staff is recommending is the house, the garage, be 20 feet back from the road right away on this part.
Yep.
That essentially moves it 5 feet closer than previous. The setback from the corner of the deck here on the southwest side to where this juts in, 40.2 feet is what we're recommending.
Got it.
And that's what was there before. So if we go, I mean, if you are looking at making adjustments for this 3 feet,
Be
you'd be either looking at 17 feet from the road right away or 37.2 feet from the ordinary high water mark.
Okay.
Depending upon which side you would
Yeah.
look at that 3 feet on. Does that make sense?
It does, if, Madam Chair, if I could. So, the staff is recommending 40.2 and 20. 20 from the road and 40.2 from the water.
That
The
is correct.
applicants would like 37. Am I right?
So we don't have to make modifications.
They would like 17 feet and 37.3.
If I could, I don't want to speak totally for you, but I think what,
We're not clear on this.
I think what Mr. Colbeck was saying, he'd like to have the house 17 feet from the road right away. By moving the house closer to the road right away, they reduce the amount of impervious surface for the driveway because the driveway becomes shorter. And that allows him to create the turnaround for a vehicle.
And so then, how far from,
Would be 40.2 feet from the lake.
okay, is that Is that what,
Gain that extra space without making any modifications.
and the staff, that's what they want, and the staff has said 20.
The staff.
And that's the difference.
That's the difference.
That is the difference in the staff's report and what they want.
The
Then
neighbors
Mr.
already
Colbeck.
approved that 15, his garage, so we would still be 3 feet behind that.
All right, thank you. I get it now.
Okay.
But I have a question. Madam Chair.
Oh,
On page 11, it says the OHL would be reduced to 37.3 feet from the ordinary high water mark. But then in your recommendation, you have 40.4 feet. And that's
Different.
different. That's where my concern comes in.
Yeah, that's a good.
What
point.
is it?
Are you asking Nathan?
Yes,
Okay.
or Marty.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Okay, on page 11, in your write-up, it says the setback to the OHL would be 37.3 feet. And then on your recommendation on page 13, with our approval, it says 40.4 feet. So you have it two ways.
Right, so, Madam Chair, Commissioner Johnson, yep, so the applicant is requesting that it be 20 feet from the, in their first proposal, they requested 20 feet from the road right-of-way, which staff is agreeable with, that's what we have in our recommendation. But we are recommending that it be 40.4 feet from the ordinary high water level, which would keep the house at the same distance to the ordinary high water level as the current home.
Right. I get it.
So that the deck on the proposed house would not be any closer than the deck of the previous house to the ordinary high water level. The applicant is requesting that it be 37.3 feet from the ordinary high water level.
Okay, I thought they were asking 34.3 feet.
Well, they were asking for 3 more, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it is 40.4 as written up in our recommendation.
Commissioner Von Hoff,
Just looking
maybe,
to make modifications.
We just don't wanna make
Because we've been waiting a month already.
Right.
We've had all
I think we, Madam Chair.
yeah.
Okay, so just, we'll try this again. All right,
Yes.
this is very important that we get this right.
Absolutely.
And so we're gonna make sure that all the commissioners, and we all understand this. According to Marty, you want 17 feet from the road right away, and then you could be at 40.2 feet from the lake. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
And just so I'm understanding here, so are we all in understanding with that? And that would allow you to have your turnaround house would get the 3 feet there, and you could do it all and stay with the same impervious surface that we've already approved.
The staff, that's what they want.
They wanted 20 feet.
Oh,
staff
all right,
report
so,
was 20,
so
so
we
we'll
are,
give it-
we've come together now, right?
Yes, so we
All right,
would
all
3
right.
more feet.
to modify the plans.
All right, very good, thank you, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so this would be 3 feet greater than the staff, what the staff was recommending, but it would allow them to build the structure that they have been.
All right, very good.
And there'd be no further intrusion on the lakeside.
Okay,
So we'd stay with pretty close the same. I think he said, Marty said 40.2 feet. Is that correct? Okay, just because this says 40.4 here.
Yeah, so let's go with the 40.4 because it would be the same setback as the
Okay,
existing,
Okay.
the existing
And then we
house.
would move to the roadway. And like I said, that is close to that roadway. That's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit there. And that's, you want it to be as safe as it can
Yeah.
coming out of there.
Yep.
So,
Okay, Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to say to the applicants, this is a Board of Adjustment, which differs from the Planning Commission. Planning Commission recommends to the county board. The Board of Adjustment is a final decision, and then you can appeal to district court if you don't agree. So this is where it stops unless you go on, but we don't recommend on this board to the county commissioners. So that's the difference between a Board of Adjustment and a Planning Commission.
well, Madam Chair, so I'm just gonna go back again. But it seems like now everybody's in agreement. Am I right? There's a staff report, a recommendation before us.
17 feet.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Von Hoff, I'm just going to ask you, does that You've got the most experience on this.
Yes.
Does that appear to work for you?
Yeah, these are tight lots. They were platted a long time ago, and it's common for Lakeshore because of the setbacks you have from the ordinary high water line, but this is tight because of the road in there.
Okay.
And is it not true, did staff not say that there are other houses around there that don't meet these requirements either, am I right?
Absolutely. And, you know, if you drive down the road,
It's probably gonna be the tightest to those variances.
right, but that's very true. So it's very common. It's not out of character for this neighborhood.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Are there any other questions from the board members? Hearing none, this is a public hearing. If anybody else would like to step up to the podium and be heard, come on up now. State your name and sign in.
So, one more thought.
Go ahead.
If, you know, just, I'm back here thinking, but how about if we split the difference, went a foot and a half closer to the road and a foot and a half closer to the lake? One thing, when talking with Nathan, he said that they have allowed a cantilever deck, kind of a cantilever sitch. We have a post that's back 5 feet now, so we're only talking about a foot now, so it's kind of
Okay, thank you.
not much. Anyways, thanks, guys.
Would anyone else like to step up to the podium? All right, I will close the public hearing. And
Madam, I'll move to
Ask for a
close the
motion?
I'll move to close the public
okay,
hearing.
thank you.
I'll second.
And second. We have a
Motion
motion to
moved and
close from Commissioner Johnson and a second from, I don't know who seconded.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yeah, Commissioner Robbins. I know your name, I just didn't know who seconded.
Ah.
All right.
Do we vote on that or not?
Yes, yes.
Could I get a motion from the board?
Madam Chair, based on the 8 hardship criteria for granting variance, I recommend the approval of a variance from the required setback from the ordinary high water line to 40.4 feet and a variance from the setback to the road right-of-way to 17 feet to replace a single-family home.
Second.
Also noting that the township has made recommendation to approve this variance.
Right.
Subject to,
Oh, subject taxes are current on it.
yeah, subject to taxes being current.
And I'll second the subject.
right.
I'll second
Thank
the
you.
motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, the motion passes, and I think
Gavel it.
I will ask for a motion to close the meeting. Right. Okay, can I get a vote on the approval of the minutes, please? All in favor, say aye.
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 4 ayes and 1 nays.
Yep,
All right,
now you may adjourn.
all right, could I have a motion to close the meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we are closing the meeting of the Board of Adjustment. I've been so happy to give this back to anybody my whole life.
Well done. Good. I hereby call to order the Scott County Plan Advisory Commission, Monday, September 12th, 2022. And we will start out with our roll call.
Turn your mic.
Mic on. Kent Robbins,
Here.
Donna Henches.
Here.
Barbara Johnson,
Here.
Tom Bonoff,
Here.
and then for Jay Picca and for Ray Huber and Lee Watson, they are all absent with notice.
Thank you. Also present in the room this evening is Brad Davis, our planning manager. At the end of the podium, Greg Wagner, our principal planner, Marty Schmitz, our zoning administrator, Nathan Hall, our associate planner, and Tom Wolf, our county board commissioner. And moving on, we have the minutes from our previous Plan Advisory Commission meeting on August 8th, 2020. The commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the minutes as printed? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner
I
Robbins. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. The next item, we have 2 items on our consent agenda this evening. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered by the Planning Commission to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a Planning Commission board member or a member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda to be considered separately. The first item is item 3.1. It's number 2022-047, request for conditional use permit amendment for an essential service substation to locate a permanent outdoor staging area, Northern States Power Company applicant and Northern States Power Company, DBA Excel Energy, property owners, in section 15 of Jackson Township. Would anyone like that removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I don't need it removed, but I'm just observing that I didn't think that they even had to come to us for anything because they're utility. So I was surprised to see it on here. Is that right, Brad?
This utility is not exempt from the state permitting process, so they did have a conditional use permit to originally put up the site. And because they're expanding that site, they do need to go through this CUP amendment process.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But I
Thank you for
don't
that
want it
clarification.
removed, okay.
Right, yeah, no, that's a good point. Number 2022-49 is a request for a preliminary plat and final plat of Tice Acres consisting of one lot and one outlot on 88 acres, 88.75 acres rather, Michael Tice, applicant, and John R. Tice and Dolores V. Tice, property owners, in section 35 of Louisville Township. Would anyone like that removed from consent agenda? Okay. Seeing no one, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Chair, I'm sorry, just a procedural thing. If you can do a motion first to open the public hearing for these items, and then we'll close the public hearing if there is no one that is.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I move that we open the public hearing.
I have a motion to open the public hearing by Commissioner Robbins. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is open. If anyone would like to make comment on these, they can come to the podium. Okay. At this point, we'll close the public hearing. Please.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we close the public hearing.
I have a motion by Commissioner Robbins to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. When the consent agenda is approved, both of these items will be approved as well.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve this consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Robbins. All in favor, vote aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
The consent agenda is approved. So if you were here for either of those items have been approved. Our next public hearing is number 2022-051, a request for a conditional use permit to establish multiple tenant sales facility. William W. Svoboda and Kathleen E. Svoboda, applicants and property owners William Wenslaw Svoboda and Kathleen Elaine Svoboda, in section 26 of Louisville Township. See Nathan Hall will be making our staff report this evening. Good evening, Mr. Hall.
Mr. Chairman, before we begin, Mr. and Mrs. Svoboda's son works for my companies, but I've only met them once in 6 years. And in conference with the county attorney, Assistant County Attorney Steve Ott, he said I could vote on this. I just want to make that clarification.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
evening.
The subject property is located in section 26 of St. Lawrence Township. It does have frontage on Highway 169. It has been used as a retail space for decades. The existing conditional use permit was originally issued to operate an auto sales business, and the existing permit was last before the Planning Commission in February when it was amended and transferred to Diddy's Docks. The conditional use permit amendment was to include the retail sale of docks, boat lifts, and other marine equipment. The amended CUP did not provide for the sale of automobiles in addition to the dock sales. Diddy's Docks is not using all of the property, and so the property owner's request is for a CUP that would allow the leasing of the property to multiple users. The applicant states that the property would continue to be used by Diddy's Docks for their sales business, but the remainder of the sales lot would be used for auto sales. The property is in the C1 commercial district, where boat sales, recreational vehicle sales, auto sales and such are, and other service businesses are permitted through a conditional use permit. The applicant would like to establish the outdoor sales lot with an on-site office, leasing it to multiple users. And the new user would sell automobiles from the site. Diddy's Docks would continue to use the northeast portion of the site. The sales building is located down here in the southwest portion of the site. And prior to operating from the site, any of the new users, they would need to approach the county and apply for a certificate of compliance to operate underneath that conditional use permit. With the approval of this conditional use permit, the previous conditional use permit would be terminated. And I did receive an email from Diddy's Docks stating that they are okay with that termination, provided they can continue to operate from this site and it will not interrupt their business. The property, it's largely open and flat property, and there is an existing structure, a sales structure here. Also, the owner and applicant is proposing a new building that would be used for storage on the property. The Environmental Services Department has reviewed this proposal. They don't have any issues with the request. The proposed use is within the capacity of the septic system, and they do note in their memo that the new building would need to maintain 20 feet away from the septic system, and there cannot be any parking or inventory on the septic site or in that septic area. Their memo was attached to the staff report. St. Lawrence Town Board, I understand they did make a recommendation here at their September monthly meeting. The applicant will present their recommendation, and staff is recommending approval of conditional use permit amendment based on the criteria for approval listed in the staff report.
Can we just make sure that we're speaking into the mics, please, because we can't hear it on the recording?
Yep. Yep, everyone's speaking their mics.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Commissioner Robbins.
Mr. Hall, so do I understand then, what, in this property, what would be sold? Boats, cars, automobiles, what? Just once again.
Yep. Mr. Chair and Commissioner Robbins, the property, this sales facility, it would be allowed to, they could sell automobiles from the site. That is specifically listed. If we see that later in the staff report here. Also, they would be able to continue to sell docks and marine equipment from the site as well. Those are the two things that are specifically listed here in the proposed conditional use permit.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hall.
Mr. Chairman, Nathan, we need to get a taller mic for you, I think. I heard you say something about the township board, but did they could you say that again into the mic? I couldn't quite hear all of it. Did the township board recommend this?
Right. Yes, Commissioner Henches, the town board has recommended approval, and they have. Zoom in right there. And the applicant has just provided this here tonight from the meeting that was just a few days ago.
Thank you.
For them to put in the new storage building there on the site.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, they're recommending to replace the storage building, but are they recommending approval of the use?
Mr. Chair, the applicant is present, and perhaps I could speak to their attendance at the township meeting.
The applicant would like to come up to the podium. And there's a sign-in sheet there, and if you could start your comments with your name.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You should start by saying your name, so.
Oh, my name is Bill Svoboda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Swoboda.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, they approved the marine selling and the car sales there, and they were happy to do that rebuilding of the storage building there.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, would you also, you're not gonna, would you sell boats from there?
Boats, no.
No. All right. Thank you.
So,
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Yeah, so you're going to continue to sell the docks and run that, but then you're also going to use the site for car sales, which
Car
it has
sales
been
as
used
well, yes.
traditionally. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
clarification.
Yep.
Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Hall, to your report?
Nothing else to add, Mr. Chair. I'll stand by for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to add comment to this request before us, they may do so at this time. The podium is open. Not seeing anybody dashing or walking to the podium.
Mr. Chair,
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we close the public hearing.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins,
Second?
second by Commissioner Yancey. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. I'll entertain a motion at this time or further discussion, whichever the commission would like.
Mr. Chairman, just a comment that the other building was destroyed. I don't know if you read that or not. That's why they replaced it.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Based on the criteria for approval listed in the staff report, I recommend approval of the conditional use permit to establish a multiple tenant sales facility.
I have a motion by Commissioner Robbins. Do I have a second?
Should note that it was approved by the township board.
I'll add that to my motion that it was approved by the township board. Thank you, Commissioner.
Reported to us that it has been.
Yes, it was reported that it happened.
Okay,
I'll second.
second that. Okay, the motion is based on criteria for approval listed in the staff report. We recommend approval of the conditional use permit to establish a multiple tenant sales facility in that it's been reported to us that it's been approved by the St. Lawrence Town Board. Is there any further discussion before I call for a vote on this? We will do a voice vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It has been approved. Thank you very much for your attendance here this evening. We will now go to, do we have a manager's report?
Yes, we do. Thank you,
Go to
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Davis, our planning manager.
Just a few items here tonight. Since our last meeting, the county board did approve a project that you recommended. That was the preliminary plat and final plat of Panama Acres. That created 2 lots on 20 acres in Cedar Lake Township. That was the only action item since our last meeting. Item number 2, you probably noticed we're trying to be a little more diligent procedurally on the public hearings. And so we're starting to catch when we open and close public hearings, and we want to be consistent with both consent and non-consent items. So I will try to continue to prompt if we don't hear a motion to open, and then, of course, a motion to close. So I did that tonight, but I didn't get a
Appreciate
chance to touch base ahead of time. But that's something we'll just keep listening for, so we make sure we have that properly.
We've never done that And procedurally, we should be doing that, and that's fine, so we'll
Yep.
just incorporate it into our procedures, thank you.
Yep, absolutely, and that we'll do it
of
for
that.
both the consent items and the non-consent, so, but we'll listen for it too, and I'll try to jump in if it's appropriate to catch that. Then finally, the bus tour. So all of you should be holding the afternoon of October 3rd on your calendar, and tonight or tomorrow, I will send you a meeting invite. If you do a lot of that on your Outlook calendar, I will send that to you so you have it. But we're looking at 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. And this will all be in the invite, but we're looking at departing on a bus from the Public Works parking lot, because we're going to be spending most of our time down in the south part of the county, so we figured we don't need you to all drive up here. And
I don't
Commissioner
know where
Ryan-
that is. Will you tell us where it is in
the
the
Public
invite?
Works, where we held some of our meetings at that Public Works building, right when this
Okay.
building was shut down. If you
All right.
remember that.
282.
282 and 13. And if someone does need a ride down there from Shakopee, we'd be happy to do that. But we'll meet there at the parking lot. And then we've got stops at the YMCA camp, the Gathering Pines. And they've been gracious enough to meet us there and give us a walking tour. So we'll spend a good amount of time there looking at that new camp. And then from there, we will go to the Fieldstone Industrial Park and take a look at that development and some of the landscaping and screening and site design issues that we dealt with. And then we may look at a couple of other rural planned business reserve areas out there that are not developed. We want to just showcase those a little bit and talk about the demand for that type of land use here in the county. And then we plan to go to Amazed Acres. That's a more recent residential plat, one of our larger plats in the last few years. And then we have some things that we'll see along the way. And I'll be putting together a map and a packet that we can refer to as we hit those main points, but a lot of things too that we want to point out in route.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Davis, I'm excited about this. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to it. I think we've said before, all of this is on paper right now, but when we get out and look at it and see it, just like you did when you made the visits, then I think that the decisions are better informed.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it. Can we go to Donna's? No. That's a aside.
Mr. Chairman, do all these people know we're coming?
The YMCA definitely knows we're coming. I know that Greg's been talking to John Messenbrink about our visit to Fieldstone, and I don't know if you were able to do that, but if John is in the area, maybe he will meet us there, but it's not a guarantee, but we'll let him know that we're coming.
Is the place we're going to meet, is it where our meetings were that we went to?
Well, that was Spring Lake Town Hall. This
No,
is next to
this
the
is
highway
closer.
department.
The county highway department, which is about it's on 282 and 13.
Okay,
So you drove by there to get to the Spring Lake Town Hall where we met, so.
I'll
But
find it
We'll
somehow.
get you an address in a
Yeah,
minute.
no, all right.
Closer than the Spring Lake House.
Closer,
Yeah.
closer, okay.
Just give us the address. We
Yeah.
can put it in our GPS.
It's under Country Trail West.
It
You
is,
know
yep.
that? She never always passes me.
So we'll, if we have more details, we'll get them out to you, but that will be the bus tour. And that's all I have for an update tonight.
I'd recommend also going through the roundabout at 8 and 13 now, which is a new roundabout.
Yeah.
And they had closed 13 off down there, and it's something to see
It
about
is.
the future for,
I think that'll be part of the route.
yeah, so that's, I think it'd be there. Anything else for the cause? I just want to say Commissioner Henches did a great job in her first meeting that she handled as chair,
Thank
so
you.
she did a very
Mr.
nice
Chair,
job.
there was also a course in St. Cloud. What date is that?
You know, Jay Pika attended it, or is about to attend it, I forget. It was
15?
September 14th, so it's coming up.
Jason,
So I think he plans to attend that,
Report back.
good,
and he can report back maybe at the next meeting what he learned.
yes, okay, great.
And then I heard too that his building had a bad fire. Is that true? Did you know that?
Marty, do you have any more details on that?
Who had a fire?
What had a fire?
Jay
Who had-
Pika's building,
At his
Oh,
cabinet
really?
shop.
yeah.
Yeah, so one of our staff members is a volunteer firefighter for Belle Plaine, and he mentioned to me that Jay had a fire in his cabinet shop late last week. So don't know the extent of it, but yeah, he did have a fire there.
Not good, no.
He had planned to be gone before that happened, so.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not good.
Is there any other news, Mr. Johnson? Quite a bit. Is there anything else for the cause? I'll entertain a motion at this time to close this meeting.
So,
Motion by Commissioner Robbins,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor, vote aye.
aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Is 13 open all